Both during and after his Hall of Fame basketball career, Scottie Pippen has tried his hand at acting a number of times in short films, TV series, and full-length features such as the 1998 movie He's Got Game and the TV adaptation of the Lethal Weapon film franchise. Typically, Pippen just plays an exaggerated version of himself, and his appearances are generally brief for the sake of throwaway jokes which he delivers before the story abruptly moves on.
Air Pippins.
Andrew wants those. What? I do not!
Then there's Pippen's appearance in the animated series American Dad, because Pippen doesn't just make a blink-and-you'll-miss-it cameo. Rather, he plays a significant role in the main story in what is one of the strangest and most macabre plots that the show has ever made that, thanks in large part to Pippen's performance, is also arguably one of the best ever episodes of the entire series.
He's dead.
NBA champs. Come on!
Co-created by the cartoonist and voice actor behind Family Guy Seth MacFarlane, American Dad first aired in February 2005, and, as of 2023, has since produced well over 300 episodes. Like its sibling series, American Dad revolves around a somewhat typical family, the Smiths, made up of husband and wife Stan and Francine, along with their kids Haley and Steve. The family also have a talking pet fish, Klaus, and an alien living with them named Roger. Pippen appears in the 16th episode of the 16th season, Plot Heavy, when the family turn their backyard into a cemetery, which first aired in August 2021. In the installment, after Stan makes the terrible decision to sell the family's cemetery plots in order to buy a jet ski, the rest of the family force him out of decision-making from there on. The group soon decide to turn their backyard into a cemetery as a get-rich-quick scheme. Meanwhile, Stan and Klaus make plans to turn the backyard into a nightclub. Ultimately, when the family fail to find any business for the cemetery, they decide they need a celebrity to buy a plot as an endorsement. And there's an obvious choice.
Scottie Pippen!
Coincidentally, Pippen happens to be in town as he's become a maritime crime author since retiring from basketball, and he has a signing event for his new book, Deep Danger. Given that Pippen hasn't sold anywhere near as many books as he'd hoped, he not only agrees to help the family, but even suggests that he could fake his death as the publicity would improve his book sales. Initially, the plan seems like a win-win situation. That is, until the dead bodies start piling up, right when Stan and Klaus's club is having its health inspection. Despite their differences, Stan and the family agree to work together for the evaluation. Drawing inspiration from the 1989 film Weekend at Bernie's, when two friends attempt to convince people that their boss is still alive to prevent themselves from being suspected for causing his death, the Smith family used the dead bodies to make the backyard look like a popular club. Despite some mishaps, the plan is a success. Though, the family admit that they should let Stan back in on decision-making. His first call is to forget about their plans for a cemetery and a club. He then gives Pippen his jet ski and has the Hall of Famer drag all the dead bodies out to sea to dispose of them.
I will return when I have written my next masterpiece.
The plot-heavy episode was written by former YouTuber and author for crack Soren Bowie and directed by Jansen Yee. While Bowie's only connection to the NBA was being a fan of basketball, Yee had previously worked on an NBA-related project as a storyboard artist on the web series The LeBrons, based on the Nike commercials of the same name, in which the family of LeBron James, each representing an aspect of his personality, compete for control of him. Bowie wrote the initial draft of the script for Plot Heavy under the assumption that the show would be able to get Pippen. Then the production ran into trouble after the show couldn't actually reach the Hall of Famer. And because of a technicality in the screenwriting industry, Bowie couldn't simply repurpose the Pippen jokes for another basketball star, so the whole subplot revolving around a former NBA player would have had to be completely rewritten if they couldn't get Pippen.
The rule is that, if you couldn't get Scottie Pippen, but you got someone who sounded exactly like Scottie Pippen, they would need new dialogue entirely.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
So you have to have, every single line has to be, clear parody.
Fortunately, the show was eventually able to get in contact with Pippen, who was happy to be a part of the show, and, more importantly, he was willing to let the show's writers both have some fun at his expense and give him some lines that people wouldn't expect to hear him say on national television.
Eat shit, sad guy.
Presumably, Pippen's eagerness to work with American Dad came about because of his earlier work with another Family Guy sibling series, its spin-off, The Cleveland Show. Pippen appeared in the 11th episode of the series, Love Roller Coaster, which first aired in January 2010. In the installment, the titular character's son, Cleveland Jr., develops a crush on his stepsister after she disguises herself in a fat suit.
I love you, Tyra.
In the episode, Pippen appears during a musical sequence when Cleveland Jr. sings a song full of double entendres about being in love.
You're talking about balls deep.
I'm talking about balls deep.
Impressively, instead of just a brief, largely forgettable appearance for a throwaway joke like you'd expect for a celebrity spot, Pippen's cameo is actually substantial. Pippen wasn't the only guest star in the Love Roller Coaster episode, as veteran comedic actress Jane Lynch also appeared in the installment.
Fupa, poopa, fupa, poopa. Ah, what a good time.
Still, much of the critical praise for the episode went to the musical sequence and Pippen's cameo, especially because it involved multiple lines of dialogue, portions of singing, and even some self-deprecating humor as Pippen made light of his financial issues over the years since his retirement.
Just here dropping off an application. Players in my day didn't make as much as they do today.
Whether intentional or not, the idea of having Pippen be more fixated on his profession as a writer rather than his basketball career that saw him become a 6-time champion wasn't only humorous, but the timing of the episode was near perfect, as Pippen released his book, Unguarded, just a few months after the episode originally aired in November 2021. Unguarded was Pippen's second autobiographical publication, following his 1997 children's book Reach Higher, released in April that year, which aimed to inspire children to strive for higher goals, no matter what their background was or the challenges that they'd face. Given that the book was effectively Pippen's response to the 2020 documentary series The Last Dance about the 97-98 Bulls team, which Pippen was far from happy about, Unguarded was always going to receive significant attention. So, the idea of making Pippen a writer was probably just a weird coincidence. Still, ultimately, the idea itself and Pippen's willingness to go along with it serves to illustrate that the Hall of Famer maybe needs to become a regular in the shared universe of Family Guy, The Cleveland Show, and American Dad, where he's known as and celebrated for being the Admiral.
The sea will take care of me. That's why they always call me the Admiral.
Wasn't that David Robinson?
During his Hall of Fame basketball career, Pippen only dabbled with the idea of acting, with just a few appearances here and there. Fortunately, in his retirement, Pippen has been much more open to pushing himself out of his comfort zone and into the film and television industry, which ultimately led to his strange cameos in both The Cleveland Show and American Dad. Moreover, rather than just giving him brief moments for the sake of throwaway jokes, both shows made his appearance substantial.
We're talking about balls deep.
And in the case of Plot Heavy, he plays a significant role in one of the most creatively ambitious episodes that's ever aired on television that could have fallen flat but managed to thrive despite the potentially off-putting premise, thanks largely to Pippen's performance, which is so good that the only thing you could argue is wrong with it is that Pippen inadvertently gave trolls the perfect piece of ammunition against him in terms of a clapback whenever he next makes the mistake of letting people know that he's upset about something.
Scottie still hurts to this day that when they were winning the titles, he was the 6th highest paid Chicago Bull. He still feels that.
Eat shit, sad guy. They always call me the Admiral.